All right, cool. Up next we have Duke Theft Auto. Ryan, you're actually a big fan of this, or from the first initial release, you were a big fan of this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the latest update that they have at the moment?
Well, I mean, I made a comment, and I'm like Mr. Negative on this show now, but because I'm gonna come up with another criticism.
Frowny face.
I say this stuff because I care about the mods and care about the development, or that's what I would.
That's like beating your wife and saying that you care about her. That doesn't work, Ryan.
Well, I mean, it's just my honest criticisms. Yeah. But anyways, he posts about the new polymer renderer for eDuke32, and how it's just got more realistic lighting and shaders and whatnot, blah blah blah, and that he wants to integrate it into Duke Theft Auto, as well as supporting the old renderer as well. And this is kind of like, I don't know, when I first read this, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Just after I put him in the creativity and constraints article, because like the whole point of that article was like doing more with less and not saying, oh, here's a new feature, let's use that. Here's a new feature. And his counterpoint to that was just like, oh, it looks more like the dusk effect in GTA 2 if you're using the dusk mode, which, okay. But really, I think the magic of those early games, he really captured it with the original media releases that he did, and so I mean, I think using this engine might just add a little bit more development time and might kind of sidetrack him with more complications that are a result of this new renderer. I mean, because it's brand new, who knows if it's buggy or whatnot, or totally stable, and if complications arise from that, then he's just putting more time into perfecting the look of that mod, and then it just gets more complicated from there. Whereas working with the older renderer and just staying on the path that he originally planned, I think would have worked out better. I like you got so many games that are remakes. I mean, this is a remake of Grand Theft Auto 1 or 2, and you have so many games that are remakes, and they're like, okay, but we're going to do this game, but it's going to be like, high fidelity everything, and, it's just going to be, we're going to totally boost the polygon counts on everything, and the lighting's going to be realistic, and it's, it's going to be like Half-Life 1, but, the Source engine just totally knew everything, and everything's going to be totally high res.
What a pun,
that's not what I
Black
wanted.
Mesa
That's not what I wanted from Duke Theft Auto. I thought that when I first saw the first media releases that, okay, it wasn't taking that path. It was taking the path of least resistance, where they're bringing it into a 3D world, but they're not totally going for like that ultra realistic look. We're not going to bring like Grand Theft Auto 1 into like a Grand Theft Auto 4 type 3D world. We're just going to kind of keep it cartoony, keep it whacked out like the original Grand Theft Autos were, but now it'll be 3D and a hell of a lot easier to control. And that really appealed to me, and I think that really appealed to a lot of people. So I just really hope he doesn't lose the focus there and just starts to put in like all these new features that are kind of just
well, now that he's got the new engine, it's almost going to be like, okay, well, now I have the possibility for feature creep,
Well, that's
that's like, think of all the
too,
possibilities. That's exactly that's exactly what I was kind of like going against in creativity and constraints in that article that I wrote, was just that you have to set limits and set a line and be like, I'm not going to cross this line no matter what, because I'm going to find ways to work around what limits I've imposed on myself. And hence, that usually ends up in more creative solutions and more unique gameplay. So
you know what, Ryan? I agree. So there's not much more I can say to that, man. You pretty much covered all the bases just then. So, Brian, do you have any thoughts on this subject?
I mean, I agree with Ryan. I think that the best thing they could do is to keep that kind of cartoony feel and run with it on their own. They're just taking the environment, the type of gameplay, tossing it into a 3D world, and do their own thing with it. I think that's a great idea. But as a modder, I know what it's like to have the option to do so much more and want to do so much more. And especially when you have competition, you feel you need to do so much more. And then,
what competition does he
well,
have?
no, I'm not saying he does. I'm saying in my case.
Oh, okay.
And so you end
Yeah.
up kind of going through all the new features, and you spend so much
Well, I
time.
think he's got competition in terms of just like other mods that are out there.
Yeah, and
just
that's
because he's
true.
building on the build engine, that's an antiquated engine, and if you want to build on that, that's just for kids to play around with. And he's just kind of it's almost like at the end of the post, he's like the build engine isn't dead yet. Look at how much power it still has. And I think it's just kind of like a post to prove that, and this renderer is kind of a way of proving that, which, I'm fine with it being cartoony and realistic. I don't need every game mod I play to have, like, realistic lighting and stuff like that, so.
Yes, you do.
The thing is I mean, like a fun game is going to do better than a pretty game.